Hello, welcome back to the Long Distance Love Bombs podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jeremy Goldberg, and today's episode is another enlightening and somewhat vulnerable conversation with my real-life partner in crime, Kendra Adachi. And in this conversation, we focus on the topic of space and why space is so vital for couples, why it's important for relationships, and we tell a few stories about some stuff that's come up for us over the past week or two, and we dive into the concept. So often it's easy, I feel, to get enmeshed in a relationship, to not want to disappoint, to take on the habits or hobbies of our partner. We kind of have a tendency to easily lose ourselves in the relationship. And in this conversation, we highlight why it's so necessary to keep your own life and your own identity, and how that could potentially even be beneficial, how it is very beneficial for the partnership and the container as a whole. So enjoy that. We also touch briefly, very briefly, on a new coaching container that Kendra and I are launching next month. It's our 12-week coaching thing. We've done this several times now. It's an intimate group of 4 people having calls with us and activities over a 12-week period. So that's coming soon. So if you like what you hear and you're into it, think about working with us for 12 weeks. It's fun. And also, if you're new here, there are 5 other episodes just like this one that you can check out about various topics. Okay, so enough of that. Enjoy the chat with Kendra, and thanks for listening. All right, Kendra Adachi.
Jeremy Goldberg.
Welcome back to the podcast.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome back to the living room.
The living room.
So we're going to have another chat about relationships, and we've decided to talk about space.
Yeah, because...
The final frontier.
Well, not that kind of space, though. We could talk about that, and that's fun. I'm really fascinated by space.
So not the universe.
Not the universe. Though the actual, energetic space that is necessary in relationships and just as an individual to step away from the loudness, from the every day-to-day, to receive clarity and to come back home to what feels true in your bones. And you and I just recently had our own separate experiences with that. I went to Edmonton to visit my family for a week, and you went on a solo yoga retreat. It wasn't really, well, there was yoga involved. For a weekend. And yeah, both times were known that neither of us weren't really gonna be together for that. You were invited to come with me to Edmonton, though the original...
it was minus 37.
It wasn't that cold when it happened.
I know.
When I went there.
But I wasn't like, I don't want to go with you and I don't want to see your family. It was I would really like to just be alone in the apartment for a week. Mm-hmm. And I think that you would really benefit from not having me around and just hanging out with your family and your dog for a week.
And that's exactly what I wanted. I was like, I just want to immerse with being with my family and just with myself.
But I think it's important that we were able to say that.
Yeah.
It felt really awkward for me. Because remember we talked to your mom and she's like, are you coming, Jeremy? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And so I had to kind of disappoint her in a way, in a minor way.
In a very minor way. No, my family loves you.
Yeah, it wasn't like a shame thing, but it was like a, she maybe wanted to see me.
Yeah, she did.
And I wanted to see her, but also I wanted to be alone more than I wanted to be on the family trip.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, was talking about it, speaking the need and the desire. This is a topic that's been coming up within some women that I'm
babing with.
And it is so much more than just relationship space, at least for me. Yeah. I mean, that is a huge part of it. I love you, we're good. And I really thrive, and I know I'm not the only one, I really thrive when I'm alone in my energy. And it's rare when you live with somebody. And
in a pandemic.
And though while I was going to not necessarily be alone in my energy, to be with my family, part of that was this calling, and that's a whole other topic, but I just felt really called to go back to the roots and feel into the house that has so much old energy of like where I grew up versus the energy I have now. And it was like a closing. And I went on a solo road trip, and yeah, just like that, choosing to create the space to be with yourself, to feel clarity, to, not need to, maybe be concerned with just the energy of another human.
And even if you can't go for a week, I'm thinking about someone listening as a motorcycle goes past, that like you could do it for an hour or an evening. Like you could take yourself out to dinner. You could you go for a walk. Like I've gone for walks before, and you have said things like, do you want company? And I would say, no, I'm good. Like I want to just walk or be alone, or I want to listen to a podcast or whatever. And we're okay with that decision.
Yeah. And so I feel like something that's really important to address here is like that okayness that we have with it. Because I recognize that there are some relationships and there are some experiences that I know I've had, and I'm sure a lot of people have had, where it's taken personally. Where it's like, what do you mean you don't want me to go? Like, you don't like me? Or like, what is this? Are you breaking up with me? Are you leaving me? All of this stuff.
Like you don't want to be around me?
Yeah, and it's I think it's important to address like the security to have within oneself first and foremost is a really important place to feel that security within partnership. Does that make sense?
Unpack that maybe a little bit more.
Like when you feel safe and trusting within yourself, and you can feel connected to the experience of being in your own energy, and this goes for whether you're in a partnership or not. Like maybe there is like work, and there's just a lot of output, and like you're involved with lots of other energies. To be able to stop and discern when you need to stop, and trusting that you'll stop when you need to, and just create the boundary and the space to honor yourself in that. And I feel like the more that we do those little minute actions for ourselves, the more that we really build trust and feel this sense of security within self. And there's so much more to unpack here, because I recognize that there's like experiences of being cheated on and all of that. So I feel like there's a caveat to this, that if there's like a really traumatic, event that's quite pressing, that it's important to talk to somebody about that. But when we can get to the space where we feel really confident and safe in our aloneness, in our own insecurities, like we can address them, we can recognize them, we can just feel really at home with ourselves. We don't need anything outside of ourselves.
Yeah, it reminds me of this client that I worked with a while ago, and she had never really spent much time alone. In the sense of going on solo trips or solo adventures. And so part of the work that we were doing was cultivating that. And so I challenged her, for example, by the next time that we talk, I want you to take yourself out to dinner. Like I want you to go to a restaurant. I want you to say party of one. And I want you to be stared at. And I want you to have those awkward moments where you're kind of like, or and I said you could take a book, but just go and take yourself on a date. Court yourself.
Yeah,
right?
That's a good way to putting it.
Spend some time getting to know yourself, because like if you don't want to date yourself, then it's gonna be challenging to convince or to meet someone that wants to date you as well, right? So there's some of that self-love aspect to the activity, and then by the end of our time together, she booked a solo trip, like to a different state for like a week. She was super excited, and so it was an interesting experience to observe her journey of at first confronting the awkward discomfort of I don't want to be alone and what are they going to think of me, to then being like, fuck it, I'm going on I'm renting a hotel room. I'm doing this, so I'm going here. I've looked up restaurants.
That's my favorite.
And I think that the space, cultivating this space to have that personal time to really understand yourself.
Yeah.
And also I think from a partnership, from my perspective, it creates a little bit of tension. Like it felt really good to miss you.
Yeah.
And it felt really good to feel lonely one night. be like, oh, hang on. I haven't been alone in so long that I've lost my kind of my aptitude for being alone, and it's kind of turned into this lonely thing. So that was an interesting process for me.
Great awareness.
Like, what's going on here? I'm sad. I miss Kendra. And then, like, the reunion is nice, too. Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate you a lot. Yeah. I've had to cook and clean and do everything alone. It's really annoying. Welcome home. But one thing I think that I wanted to touch on was when you were in Edmonton for a week, like, we didn't really connect too intensely at all.
No, like brief check-ins.
I think we had one phone call. Like, we were texting every day.
They're just like, good morning, good night.
Love you.
Love you.
Everything's fine. I'm not leaving you. I'm coming back.
I'm coming back. I think we had one like quick call. And that was because we also worked together and we held a container. And so that was when we connected briefly before that just to like talk about our group call, and then we had our group call, and then that was it. It was like work related. Then we had a chat. I mean, I guess just planting a seed. If you're listening and you want to work with us, we are starting a new 12-week program within the next month or so. So 12 weeks of calls in small groups of 4. So I'm just flagging that. If you like our vibe and you think that you would like to chat with us every week, there's that. And going back to the space thing, I think it's important to recognize that we both kind of affirmed that was okay. It wasn't like, hey, I need to talk to you. And you were like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm walking the dog. Like, get fucked. It was like we agreed to have some space. And we checked in with language like, hey, is it important or can we talk tomorrow? Because I'm watching a movie with my mom right now or something like that. Yeah, and like previous to it, like you said, you sort of knew my intentions of just taking space. I didn't work much. I just wanted to like snuggle with my family and watch movies and just go with the flow of being there. And you knew that. And I mean, I'm dating you and you respect me and you respect that. That's part of the reason why I love you and that why this works so much is like you respected that. And that I feel like is really important too. So I just wanted to speak to that. I have been in a relationship experience, but that wasn't respected. And where I would set the intention and say, hey, I'm going to be back home in Edmonton to just chill with my family. And this is when I lived abroad. And it became apparent that the insecurity of my partner at the time was very much being triggered, and stories started to evolve for him. It was coming through in messages, and I could just feel it. And I was just like, I could just feel that he didn't trust me in that. But there was a huge part of like him not trusting in. Yeah, this is a huge thing that we could unpack, but it's just him not trusting in himself. And so I just feel like what works so well in the dynamic that we have in our relationship, and we've talked about this before, is we do clearly communicate and we have radical honesty and we have very similar values of trusting in each other and trusting that if anything were to happen or if anything were to actually be like that's something that we needed to speak to. We've built this radical honesty foundation from the get-go that we know that we'd be honest with each other. So if somebody's not saying something, we can kind of trust that, okay, because there's nothing really to be brought up. Yeah, like I remember one night, so maybe the first 2 or 3 days that you were gone, it was like joyful bachelor party vibes in this house. It was like, I can leave the dishes in the sink. I could do whatever I want. I could watch 12 hours of Netflix. I could, play the music loud. I don't have to make the bed. Like, fuck it, I'm going to leave my hairs in the bathroom. Like, it was just this vibe, right? Of like kind of like when you're a kid and your parents are away, like woohoo, like I run this town. And then maybe on day 2 or 3 it like wore off, the honeymoon kind of ended, and I was like, oh, I miss my girlfriend. Like I haven't touched a person in 3 days. Like, I haven't talked to anybody in 2 days. Where's my lady friend? And one of those nights I remember I text you
like, hey, are you around to chat tonight? Like, I'd love to talk to you. And then you wrote back, no, I'm like, today's busy. I'm going cross country skiing with Allie, and tonight we're gonna, I don't know what you were doing, but it was something that sounded cool, sounded fun. And you said, like, can we chat tomorrow? Is that okay? Like, that's better for me. And I remember feeling this reactionary annoyance of like, what? Like, no, I want to talk to you tonight. Like, what the hell? And then sort of catching that and being like, you know, if I was in her position and I was visiting a friend and we were going on this outdoor adventure and I had an evening planned, I too would want to be like, I'm good. You know, like, Kendra, unless it's profound or an emergency or like urgent, like, can we just catch up tomorrow? Because I'm in a solid place and I got some stuff going on. And so when I reframed it like that, it was helpful. It's like, oh, it's not about me. She actually does want to talk to me, just not at the moment, right? Because there's other fun stuff going on. And I was like, yeah, all right. I was having this dialogue in my brain. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that, because like that stuff will still happen, and it's just a matter of like, like you did, like recognizing it, and instead of reacting from that place of like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, no, like, what do you mean you don't want to talk to me tonight? Like, which I've been that person, and I've been the receiver of that person,
like,
and
going down that spiraling path of, she doesn't love me anymore. What's wrong with me? I need to find somebody else.
Like, that's it. Maybe I should just we should just break up.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, we have the kind of relationship that you mentioned previously, where if I said to you, look, actually, I'm in a dark place, or, hey, I just got some bad news, or I really need to talk to you. Can you make time? Yeah. I know 100% that you would have said, yeah, no problem. Like, absolutely. I got you. Do you want me to call you right now? Right? And so I think having the trust that you've got my back also means giving you the space to then go and live your life and trust that it's not urgent or an emergency, and that if it was, I would tell you. Yeah. Right? And so when you, I don't know how to phrase this appropriately, but like, being honest about the little things helps to ensure that you'll be there when the big things are happening. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I do. Well, to me, I'm not saying it very eloquent.
Well, for me, it shows up as just like integrity for yourself, of like self-governing yourself, of like understanding like what is something that I actually really need. It's like understanding your needs. Yeah. Like, I really do need the support right now, or like, no, I just really wanted to just have a chat and like check in. Yeah, I'm just
feeling mopey. Just wanted you to pick me up.
Honest with that, with not only me but with yourself. Yeah. And like, okay, if I'm just feeling kind of like mopey, like, what can I do to support myself in this? Like, I don't actually really need to speak to Kendra right now. Like, this isn't a dire situation. I can like draw myself, and you drew yourself a bath.
I know, I took a bath.
And you did yoga nidra?
I was like, you know what, man? You're a grown up. Like, sort your shit out. I was like, okay. What would be a good evening? Yeah, I went to the store. I bought, what are those salts? Epsom salts. And I had a bath, like my first bath in like over a year. And I read my book in the bath, and I felt like a fucking diva, queen, king, rock star guy.
And you loved it.
I loved it. Yeah. Yeah. And then I did a meditation from Hillary, and life was good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a huge example of learning to understand how to trust yourself and create that security within yourself, as opposed to choosing to do the spiral and the dependence on like, no, I need you. And it's like, no, actually what's happening here in my body is I could use some comfort. I could use some self-soothing, and how can I be my own self-source for this? Yeah. And then doing those actual actions builds that trust and security. And you had a beautiful experience with yourself, which just starts to foster this relationship of, security within yourself, which then becomes reflective in the relationship.
Totally. Yeah. The other thing we should touch on was when you came back, I cleaned the shit out of this house.
You did?
I did. Not because I like cleaning, but because I know how much you love a clean,
I love a clean place.
organized space.
My
right?
environment is a reflection of the temple within.
That was a beautiful line.
Thanks. So I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I cleaned it, and I bought some flowers,
You did.
which are sitting right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, what's the A+ boyfriend move, right? What would Kendra want? And it's just time and consideration, really, right? It's like, hey, look, there's no dishes in the sink. Hey, look, I took the recycling out.
Yeah.
And you love that shit.
I do love that
I
shit.
scored like boyfriend points from that.
I love like one of my love languages are the random acts. I think that's what they're.
I think one of your love languages is clean dishes and
it's acts of
vacuumed.
service. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Acts of service, and it's just, and it totally is. And yeah, I noticed it, and it felt just like, I felt like very like I was appreciated.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like there was so much appreciation, not only for me, but like just also, yeah, I didn't come home to like a mess. And it was just also a reflection of how you also like show up in the relationship. It's like the little things of just what
little things are a big deal.
Little things are a big deal. And then that just like also just made me like just want to love up on you even more than I already do. It's just like it really did like warm me. It just felt so nice to like exhale and be like, oh, like there's nothing that I feel like I need to do to make my coming home feel more comfortable. Like I already felt comfortable in that. And that felt really nice.
For you listening right now, I did a post about this, and the idea is very simplistic, but it's to maintain a relationship, you just have to treat them like you want them to stay. Like you have to treat them like you want them to stick around. Like it's just that. Like what would help Kendra stay in my life? Coming home to a clean house. All right, I'll do some laundry. Right? But it's that. I could have very easily just sat around reading a book and been like, oh, hey, I haven't got around to it. Hey, I haven't put the time in. I haven't put the energy in. And certainly in past relationships, I've been that dude of like, oh, it's our anniversary. Oh, like, let's just go out to dinner. You know, I didn't really put the effort in. And I've been on the receiving end of that too. Of, hey, this is a special day, and I didn't really feel any kind of love or attention from my partner, and that felt shitty. Right? And so it's about doing these kinds of little things that help the relationship, help the bond glue together, so to speak.
And another thing that showed up for me is this is kind of like it's kind of taking a little bit of a turn, but it has to do with this, is I can't remember where I saw this. It was something on Instagram. And there was some celebrity that I don't know, she's talking about how it's an honor to be in her life. And she's not talking about it from like an egotistical or like self-centered way, but just that she's like, the way that like my energy is sacred. And it's an honor to like, just as the way she treats relationships is like, it's an honor to be in their life. And so and therefore she recognizes it really is an honor to be in sharing space with the people that I'm choosing. And that's how I'm really approaching life now. And to like feel that energy of like you're really appreciating and like recognizing it is an honor to share space. And I feel that for you. I feel like it's an honor. Like I will fold your clothes because I love you. And I'm like, whatever, it's fine. It's an honor to be able to experience life with you. And it was like to feel that reciprocated. And it was really what was interesting. This is actually just coming up for me now, was from being home in Edmonton and just kind of doing some shedding work that was just coming up naturally from being in a home where I grew up and the woman that I am now, and like the different energies, and really realizing like I have done so much work to have the results, to get to experience the results that I have today. And like memories flooded back to me when I was in Edmonton that do when you visit back your hometown. And then to come home to not only just the fact that it was a clean home, but just to you, like this amazing, really fucking handsome man who distracts me with his sexy haircut.
I just got a haircut.
He just got
for
a
those
haircut.
listening, yeah.
And it's really attractive. So I'm trying to not lose my train of thought. So coming home to a clean home wasn't just a part of it. It was just coming home to you and like to miss you and to be like, I'm so blessed. And just to have a moment like hand on heart of like, Kendra, you've shown up in a way that's why this is your life. And it was like a really beautiful moment to be like, to be reflected of like what was to like what currently is based on the inner workings and the trust and the security and just the remembering within myself that has become this reflection outward.
Yeah.
So that was something that just came through for me too. And it was just nice to receive that and to really acknowledge and recognize that. Because sometimes I think we can just take it for granted. Right. You say something often that I really, really appreciate. And you're like, I don't want to lose sight of that. You, like whatever the moment is, like, yeah, no, it's a really great day or something. Just like, it was a really good day. I had a really great conversation. We've got food in the fridge. Like, I don't want to lose sight of that. Like, let's appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I love when you say that because it's like, yeah, this is abundant life right here. This is a blessing to be experiencing this moment.
Yeah. I think for me, it's about just practicing gratitude.
Yeah.
It's so easy to focus on what you're building and what you're selling and what you're doing and who you hope to become and where you want to go and what's next. That for me at least, I think it has been easy to forget that like nobody that I love died today.
Yeah.
Like I'm alive. I have fruit on the counter. I have
our health,
money in the bank. Like I'm still here and I have tremendous privilege.
There's like a woman that loves you.
Yeah, I have an amazing partner who wakes up next to me and loves me every day, despite my ridiculousness. Yeah, that there's so much going right for me. Like way more than is going wrong for me. Like ridiculously much more. And so I think it is important to try to cultivate that stuff.
It is.
Yeah, like...
Yeah. I just want to say anybody who's listening, you can join us in that right here, right now for your life. Taking a look at, like, do you have working legs?
Like I got socks.
You've got socks? Are your lungs working? Are your eyes working?
Yeah.
Like there is so much to be able to, that we can just take for granted. Like that's one of the reasons why I'm also so passionate about health. Totally. Is like that's when that goes, it's like everything else pauses.
Oh my god. Well, even on a small scale, like the microphone that we're using right now, it's working, and my computer, when I plugged it in, it turned on, and the refrigerator, it's still cold. Like all of these things that we completely take for granted, and this was really highlighted in a profound way for me years ago when I was driving down the street and my brakes failed in the old van. Literally, I pushed the brake all the way down to the ground, and I wasn't stopping, and I was approaching other cars, and I nearly crashed into a telephone pole or light pole. And I was like, oh my god, I have never truly appreciated the brakes in my car working until they didn't.
Right. Then that's,
or like when I turn my car on, like it starts, like the battery works, the starter works, the alternator works, like everything is working. I never appreciate that until that moment. And then when we were on our road trip and stuff, I would pass a car that's broken down on the side of the road or a flat tire, and I'd pat the van steering wheel and be like, good job, Vanny, like you're doing great. I love you.
I appreciate you.
You're not screwed up right now. All right, so we've touched on space, appreciation.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to circle back a bit to space. Is that, in my experience, and actually, in the Honored Body, the 7-month container that I am holding for women, this month, I'm not sure when this podcast will be out, but I've invited them to do the same, to do what we actually spoke about, is to do a solo adventure. Oh yeah. And I actually invited that it is like a day or two that you go somewhere and that you like camp out or whatever. I mean, they don't need to do the camping out. But if you go somewhere and like you road trip, and the point of it is like actually really listening and following the guidance. But what's circling back is this idea of the taking space and being solo in that is that appreciation of the gratitude that you can remember from that place of recognizing your capabilities, remembering your abilities, remembering that, oh, I really am good and safe and secure and trusting in myself and my discernment and where my heart's directing me to go. When I trust that, like, just so much gratitude for what you unearthed from that place. And
like, just remember who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like, you're a miracle. You're here to take up space.
Exactly. And that's more so what we lean into is, like, it's not us. I mean, yes, it's like who you want to become, but for me, it's more so like who you're remembering who you really are.
Yeah.
And I feel like when we do cultivate these moments of space and taking space to cut out the day-to-day, you go back to that because it can get really noisy and we can fall into comparison. And my teacher actually just recently said a quote that I love, which is, comparison is, when you're comparing, you're forgetting yourself. And I totally resonate with that. It's like, remember who you are. And when you go alone and you listen to yourself and you use yourself as your guidance, you really remember and you get to really unearth and you get to foster that relationship with yourself, which is so important. And that relationship, the health of that relationship, absolutely reflects into all your other relationships in your life.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Is that a good place to stop?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Thanks for the chat. Thanks for the love and the life, Kendra Adachi.
Thank you for the clean house and the flowers.
Yeah. And for those listening, thank you. Thank you for listening. And if you are interested in working with Kendra and I for 12 weeks, get in touch, send me a message, and we'll let you know about it.
And we actually have something special to go with this next round we haven't announced yet.
Oh yeah.
We have a whole we've done this way bigger than we've done before. So very exciting.
Woo.
Yeah.